Welcome everybody to the Cook Once, Eat Better Meal Prep Zoom class. I really appreciate you taking the time to join me this evening. I do want to make a shout out to Donna Spencer, who is my co-host for the evening. She has a wonderful website called plentifulfare.com. Maybe Donna, you could put that in the chat so if people want to go visit your site, they can do that. But thank you for coming. So what we're going to do today, first, we're going to take a couple of polls online just to see why you're here and what are your biggest struggles around meal prep. Then I'm going to outline just some of the solutions that the Cook Once, Eat Better ebook offers. Then I want to show you a sample week and do a little bit of demoing so you can get a feel for what kind of recipes these are, and then show some of the mix and match meals that those components can make. And then I would like to talk a little bit about adapting the system for different needs, if you have different needs, and then we'll leave time at the end for questions, I promise. I do like an interactive class. I think we have too many people for us all to be off of mute, talking at the same time. So if you have a comment or a question, just put it in the chat, and Donna will be monitoring the chat. And she'll ask that question when I pause, and she'll just sort of get it in there if she can. If not, we'll talk about it during the question and answer period. But please feel free to put comments or questions in the chat. That would be great. Okay, so first I want to do two polls. So Donna, if you could pull up the first poll. So let me tell you a little bit about this ebook. I printed it out. You can print it out. It comes out to 96 pages. You don't have to print out everything, or not everything at once, but it comes as a PDF. Um, and the main value of this is 3 months worth of weekly prep plans. So I know a lot of people don't like to make meal plans. They don't like to do the planning part. So that is one value here, is you get 12 weeks of food planned for you. And so you don't have to sit down and do that step. And then each week you cook four components. One is a grain, one is a plant-based protein, one is a green vegetable or other, non-starchy vegetable, and then the fourth is a dressing and or a sauce. So uh, the reason I decided on those four components was that they are nutritionally balanced from a plant-based diet perspective. So you're automatically getting a well-balanced plant-based diet by making these four components. And then I matched sort of the flavor profile, things that go well together. And there's a lot of variety in it. You don't have to use all the variety. Like I used different grains each week, but if you don't like some of the grains, of course, you don't have to make those. But I know a lot of people, they know how to cook certain things. They can't think of something else. Well, this gives you some exploration as well. So that is the big value there, is those four components every week. So you get your protein, your fiber, your omega-3s, your complex carbs, and your antioxidants. And so you also get for each week a page of mix and match meal ideas. So once you have those four, you get for each week, here's, a page worth of ideas for how to use those four components together. You could choose, several of them, or you can make up your own, but those are just like, here's some improv ways of using these components together. You also get some bonus features like some 6 easy desserts. So if you one
I
week you want
already
to
put
make a
it in.
dessert, you get a guide on cooking whole grains, a guide on steaming vegetables on the stove, in the microwave, in the Instant Pot, and then a guide for baking potatoes as well. Oven, microwave, grill, air fryer, or combo microwave and oven. So a bunch of different ways to bake potatoes. And then a way to roast vegetables without oil. So if that's something that interests you, also you can use that. So these guides can be used over and over. I didn't want to just keep repeating these things because they're basic ways to prepare plant-based foods. So the food for each week typically makes about 6 to 8 meals, full meals. So it's not all your food for the week, but it's a nice critical mass of really healthy food. For some, it might be a lot of food. For others, especially if you're eating as a couple or as a family, it's going to be used up more quickly. So we can talk about that when we talk about adapting the system. But it is, it sort of emphasizes kind of the lunch and dinner choices because most people have kind of they have their breakfast set. They know what they like for breakfast. They know what kind of fruit they eat. That didn't need to be part of the system, and from my point of view. So this focuses on lunch and dinner types of meals. All of the recipes, including the desserts, are refined sugar-free and they are oil-free. And I use in the recipes a lot of miso for the saltiness because miso has been shown to be less harmful for blood pressure and other health problems when it's combined with that fermented soybean in the miso paste. So however, that fermented soy counteracts the sodium in the miso. Studies have shown that that's exactly what happens, that miso does not raise blood pressure or do some of the other harmful things that salt does. So I do use a lot of miso. So those are the main features of the ebook. And let me pause here, Donna. Is there anything from the chat that you want to ask at this point before I go on to show some samples?
Yes, there is. So someone's asking if you're going to be sending a PDF of the book out. So maybe this is a good time for you to share.
Yeah, no, the PDF is for sale. So you can get a free sample. I think Donna, maybe you put that in the chat.
I will
If you
do that
want
right now. Yep.
If you want a free sample with some of the introductory material, you can get that, but it's a 96 page ebook. So it's something that you order is 10.99, but if you use email 15 as a promo code, you can get 15% off. And I think Donna put the link to where you can pick that up.
Yeah, I just popped it in the chat room. So I've got
Okay, great.
the ebook as well as the code for the 15%
Oh,
off
thanks.
and a link for the free sample.
Great. All right. Any
And we
other
do have another
questions?
quick question about omitting the MISA without compromising the recipe, Linda.
Yeah. I think in almost every case you can omit it. Yes, if you're not eating salt at all, go for it. I just find that for people new to plant-based cooking to sort of not to have a salt option, I don't want people to say plant-based food is tasteless, because they're not used to food without salt. So if you're salt-free, you don't want it, you don't like it, just leave it out and it will not compromise the recipes. Occasionally it offers some of the creaminess, but I never use enough that it's going to be like not creamy, if you know what I mean. It does sometimes contribute nicely to the texture, but not to the point where that'll be compromised. That's a great question.
I think that's it for now.
Okay, great. All
But
right.
keep them coming.
Yeah. All right, so for those of you who do have the ebook and you want to follow along, I'm going to show you a sample of week 5. And so I'm going to show you some of these foods. First, I'll read what they are. So the grain is barley, pearled barley, or your favorite grain. Again, if you don't like barley or you're eating gluten-free, you can make any grain that you like. And then baked tofu is the plant-based protein. And I find that this baked tofu approach really is delicious and versatile. A lot of people like this baked tofu, so I'm excited to share that with you. A chopped kale salad, and then hummus red pepper dressing, which also works well as a sauce, heated or cool. So it's a very versatile dressing or sauce, and it starts with hummus. If you have a favorite store-bought hummus, you can use that, or you can make your own hummus as well. This is the barley. So I made this barley in the Instant Pot, which is in the guide for whole grains. I give you a choice of Instant Pot or Stovetop. I made this in the Instant Pot. It made about 3.5 cups, 1 cup of barley. So again, if 3.5 cups seems like, whoa, too much, you can downsize. If it seems like, I could eat that in 2 days, upsize. So we'll talk about what you can do with this barley, but this is healthy, healthy stuff here for our grain. Then the baked tofu, I want to just show you a little bit about how I make it. I'm going to switch to my um, overhead camera here and move this. So straighten that. So um, I took the top off this tofu and I don't need to make it absolutely dry or press it. So usually what I do is take a clean kitchen towel and after I've drained it, I wrap it up in this towel and just sort of, I don't want to squeeze it so hard that it breaks. I don't want to break it. I just want to get out some of the moisture by pressing this. I find this better. I don't have to use so many paper towels by using a kitchen towel, and then I just throw the towel in the wash. So there's our mostly dry, extra firm tofu. And then what I do after that is grab a knife, and I like to make fairly thin slices. I try to get 10 to 12. So they aren't just they're a little skinnier than a lot of people cut their tofu.
And
I
Linda,
just
are you using firm tofu or
This
extra
is extra
firm?
firm.
Yeah.
This is extra firm. I think firm would work, and super firm would also work. But I just kind of default to extra firm. So then I preheat the oven to 400, and then I lay these out. Move these so we can see this. I have a sheet pan lined with a silicone mat, and I just then lay these out.
So we have a question, Linda, on
Uh-huh.
frozen tofu. Can you use frozen tofu? They heard that it doesn't need to be squeezed out. You want to talk a little bit about
It
our,
does need to be squeezed out. It really squeezes out. I am not a huge fan of freezing extra firm or firm tofu in order to make it absorb more or get it a quote better texture. I find I don't like the texture, but a lot of cooks and chefs and recipe developers do like the texture. So, if you're intrigued by somebody who has told you to do that, I think that's fine, but you do squeeze it out. Basically, the ice crystals, when the water in the tofu freezes, the ice crystals get sharp and they start to poke holes in the soybean molecules or some of the bonds between the molecules of the tofu. And then they when you when it thaws, it has more holes in it and a lot more water comes out. So it's decreased in volume and it has a little bit of a more texture. It's not as smooth, in my opinion. So it's something you have to try to see if you like it. So you could like make half frozen, half non if you wanted to see. But I find this because I roast it for 35 minutes, it gets to a very nice texture, in my opinion. So then I have made a coating, and the ebook has all the details on the coating. There's tahini in there. There's a little bit of water, spices. Let's see what else is in there. Oh, also, I should say for every week there's a shopping list as well, so you don't have to make a shopping list even. Water, tahini, miso, coconut aminos, and the spices of your choice.
Yeah.
And then I use a pastry brush and I coat both sides and then I bake it for 20 minutes at 400 and then flip them, use any extra coating on that top, and then cook it again, bake it again for 15 minutes, and I will show you a finished batch as well. So the coating only has a few ingredients. You saw how easy it was to dry off the tofu. So this really isn't that labor intensive. And then you have nice protein, a little bit of fiber, not as much fiber as, say, tempeh, but pretty good. All right. And then I have a little extra for when I cook it. So that's what I do before I put it in. And then let me show you a finished batch. It's a lot darker and has some nice golden color on it. And both sides are golden. And you can see it's has a nice, and you can, if you're gonna put this into a salad or something, you can, or in a stir fry or a soup, you can chop it up like almost like pieces of chicken. So you can do all sorts of things with it. So that is the baked tofu. All right, let's go on.
Yeah, I think once I learned how to bake or make and cook and prepare tofu, it was a game changer for me on my whole food plant-based diet journey. It
Yeah.
really was a game changer because then it was like, oh, now I really like this because I couldn't
Yeah,
figure out how to get it cooked the proper way.
right.
And it's not like in the restaurants when you go and you have the tofu in the restaurants, right? It's usually deep fried in something and laden with a
Yeah,
lot of soy sauce that has a
that's
lot of
right.
sodium in it. So with Linda's recipes, you'll find it's really a game changer. So I really encourage you to give that particular tofu bake a try because you'll be amazed at how delicious it is and how
Thanks,
easy it is.
Donna. Yeah, it is easy. Thank you. Okay, let's go to chopped kale salad. So, uh, you know, dark leafy greens, especially kale, always come out at the top of the nutrient density charts. We're supposed to get dark leafy greens every day. Not that easy. And so I just put out a kale video on YouTube about prepping kale 4 different ways if you want some ideas and how and when you can freeze it as well. But this is a raw kale salad. So I'm going to go back to this. I have a technique here of soaking the chopped kale in hot water and then let it sit for 10 minutes and then drain it. And that really softens it up a little. I mean, it's a chewy food, so you're never gonna it's not gonna ever be like butter lettuce, but there are different ways you could also massage it for 2 or 3 minutes. That works too. Soften it up a little. So this was a full bunch of nice organic kale. And so I already did that prep to it. And then what I recommend in the recipe is adding lots of other raw vegetables. So this is going to be some weeks in the meal prep book are cooked vegetables. Some weeks are raw vegetables. So this is a raw vegetable week. So I'm putting in some cucumbers, some tomatoes, some purple cabbage, some red pepper, three more, some edamame. You know, all of these are optional if you don't like some of them. Some cooked edamame, some grated shredded carrots. So it's getting bigger than and then I like a little bit of mild onion. This was a mild red onion, so I have a little bit of that, not too much. And then I just toss it together. And this is ready to be dressed or to be used in some other different ways that are in my list. But obviously, you did, I had done all the chopping beforehand, so this was extra quick. But I have tried to keep the prep for one day, to be like 2 hours or less.
Linda, we
So,
have a question on, did you
yeah.
use anything to massage the kale with?
No, you do not need oil to massage kale. I remember when I saw a lot of recipes for massaging kale, they always said put oil on it, but you do not need oil to massage it.
I think
And
I've massaged it before. You great. Yes, lemon juice. I've massaged mine before with lemon juice,
yeah.
and it really makes it soft.
Oh,
Um,
okay, with the acid.
yes, yes, it's
Okay.
amazing. Yeah.
All right, I'll try that next time.
And it would work with lime juice as well if I was going to use a lime vinaigrette for it.
Yeah.
I just kind of think ahead to see what dressing am I going to put on it? And then
Yeah.
I'll choose one of the acids. If it's vinegar would
Right.
work as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any acid works. I just go with whatever I'm
Yeah.
going to be using it with. So if it's a
Right.
vinaigrette or a lime
Good
vinaigrette
idea.
or a lemon miso dressing,
Yeah.
whatever that might be.
You can see here I'm putting this in a gallon zip bag because I think that's a great way to store it when you do meal prep is if you prep your salad on your day off on your prep day, you just throw it in a Ziploc bag or any container's fine, but you can, if you're worried about moisture, you can put a clean, very clean rag at the bottom. But I find that this kale really keeps super well. Um, and
So
so I don't find that
you
that's necessary. And I'm going to eat this on a pretty quick basis.
so
I
you
love
dress it as you go then, Linda, right?
exactly.
Okay.
That's what I do, yes. All right, so there's our chopped kale salad. Super healthy for you. And then let's do the dressing slash sauce really fast. Mhm. So this is using hummus as kind of the creamy base. And then we add roasted red pepper. And I like to make mine in my NutriBullet blender. It's just easier to clean, easier to use. And so I am going to use some roasted red peppers from a jar. I rinse them over the sink and then some hummus. This is actually some homemade hummus because I love my hummus recipe, but you can use you can use store-bought. There are some brands like Traza, at least in the Portland area, that are oil-free. And then maybe let's see, six more ingredients, some water, some balsamic vinegar, some garlic powder. I try to use a lot of dry spices as opposed to making you slice and dice a lot of onions. So this is smoked paprika and then some lemon juice. Throughout, I try to use powders and spices as opposed to a lot of um, prepping of garlic and onions. And I found the flavors are good. They are good. So let me just blend this up. I'm going to switch my camera. I think the Zoom will,
It will
yeah,
blend it.
mute so there's the ingredients there, and then I will off, I think it's, my cord won't reach to you.
Linda, while you're blending that, if you can hear me, we had a question on what type of miso do we use. I responded that we usually use white or yellow in both of us use white
Yeah,
or yellow.
yeah,
But but there, the red and the, there are I have barley miso in my refrigerator right
yeah.
now, which is a deep brown. And I
There's
tend to
chickpea
use that, and
miso as well.
I'm interested to know what you think, how you use those, but I tend to use them more in my soups, the darker misos in my soups.
Or a tangier, a dish that might be a little bit tangier, or even you could experiment with it with the baked tofu. It might offer it's just a stronger flavor. It's not spicier, the red. It's aged longer, so it's just a deeper type of stronger flavor, I would say. And the white miso does have a sweet cast to it. So I usually use my default is yellow miso because it's in the middle, like Goldilocks. It's not sweet, but it's also not too strong. Okay, here is our dressing sauce. I would, afterwards, I'm going to transfer this to a jar, so I'll have it in a jar. All right. So if there are no other questions on the components, those are the four components. And then we can talk a little bit about some of the combinations you can make with them. So you could make a pasta. So I won't make it, but I cooked up some penne. If you had 10 minutes before dinner, you could cook up some penne. Then you could use some of that red sauce. And then if you wanted to add some kale, you could. You could also even make like a cold pasta salad with this and the kale salad and the red pepper dressing. So you could supplement with pasta. Most of the ideas that I have, I would say the majority use, easily things you probably already have in your kitchen, like extra pasta or some condiments you already have. So that's why when you're going to the store before you go, you want to sort of read over, well, what might I want to do with this and make sure you have things like that. So, or I'm going to show you, I can make a tofu sandwich. Um, where did my tofu sandwich stuff go? Here it is. Sorry, just looking at a board there. Um, I know some people don't eat bread, but for those who do, um, let's see, let me find my healthy mayo. So I have a mayo recipe on my Gracious Vegan site that a lot of people like using little cashew, little tofu. So you can make a sandwich. I'm just going to make a small one. You could also spread it with hummus if you wanted, or spread it with the dressing if your dressing is thick, you can also thin out that dressing. And then a couple of pieces of the tofu. And I know we didn't talk a lot about alternatives to tofu, but I would try the no soy tofu. I'm assuming that's why you don't you asked the question as you don't eat soy.
Yes, all
And
of
then
these. Oh, we have a quick question. Are all of these
yeah,
recipes the baked tofu, hummus, and dressing in the book? And yes, they are. Correct, Linda?
yes, yes. N Not the mayo, but for example, in the ebook where I say you could use mayo, if there's a good recipe if there's a recipe, all of my recipes are good. If
Yeah,
there's a
they
recipe
are. They
for
really are.
mayo on my site, I put an asterisk on it, and then you can go to my site and get the mayo. But some people, they just want to buy, they just buy mayo. That's fine. So these are some beautiful
Those are
Sep-
beautiful.
September tomatoes. So this is good to go. There you go, a real fancy tofu sandwich. So that's something you could make. So another combo, obviously would be if you wanted a protein salad, I mean like a super nutrient dense salad would be some of the kale salad, a couple of those slices of tofu chopped, and then some of the dressing that also has protein in it from and anthocyanins for anti-inflammatory. So that would be great, a protein kale salad. So you could do a kale barley salad if you wanted to do that. You could use the barley at breakfast if you didn't want to use it for other things. Just put some, plant-based milk on it, warm it up, put your favorite toppings there as a nice alternative to oatmeal. I even have an approach to barley risotto, which is fun, using the cooked barley and slowly stirring in vegetable broth. That's a fun one. Power bowls. You can just use this dressing as a dip with carrots and celery, other vegetable sticks. If you have other ideas for how to combine these four, go ahead, put them in the chat. But you can see there's sort of a bunch of different ways to do it. So now just switching gears a little, I want to talk a bit about adapting any week to your needs. Again, you might be gluten-free. A lot of the grains are gluten-free, but some are not, because I wanted people to be able to try most of the common grains if they haven't tried them before. Or maybe you make week one and it's way too much food for you. You can make half portions for week two. See how that works. Or maybe there are two of you in the household and you run out of food by Tuesday. And so maybe you make double unless you want to do another prep day and make 2 weeks into 1 week. You can do it that way. But there are lots of different ways. You can also make your own combination. The second to last page of the ebook is make your own combination, just a template you could print out over and over and make your own. So if you want to do it that way. Also, some of the people who purchased said they have to cook for meat eaters or they have people who don't like a plant-based diet. There might be ways you could have them add some meat and still eat what you're eating, or this at least in a couple of hours takes care of most of the food you want yourself. And so you don't have to keep making two types of meals every day. This is sort of your stash in the fridge. And then they can eat what they eat and cook what they cook, or if you're cooking for them, you can cook for them. So I know a lot of sort of mixed households in terms of eating habits, and that can get complicated. So this can either be the stuff for you, or you can adapt it to have some of the things they like. And again, if you don't like kale, you can substitute in lettuce or romaine, or if you don't like, we talked about tofu substitutions. If you don't like this dressing or sauce, you find out the first time, well, don't just put a big X in it and make another one twice. So lots of different ways that you can adapt this. Okay, I wanted to leave some more time for questions and answers. I know we've had a chance to do some of that, but are there other questions or comments or ways that maybe for anybody who has already tried some of the weeks, like what worked or what were they you were surprised by or what you were pleased by? Maybe put that in the chat.
Carol tried week 1 and it was simple to follow. And you,
Okay,
uh,
good.
do you see the next one?
Somebody says, yeah, lacinato kale is very mild and a good way to start. That's a great point. I use the curly kale, but lacinato kale, you're right, it has a
So the soy
gentler
curls.
texture.
Can you talk a little bit about soy curls? We did have a question earlier about the soy curls, and I know you have a great recipe. And um,
Laurel, yeah.
Laurel
Hi,
just
Laurel.
shared
Yeah,
that she loves your soy curl recipe, which I do as well. Do you want to
yeah.
talk a little bit about soy curls?
Soy curls are made by Butler and they are made of 100% organic, non-GMO soybeans. There are no other ingredients in them. They're softened, they're turned into mush, they're extruded, dried. And so when you buy them, they are these dried little squiggles. And the first step in using soy curls in a recipe is to rehydrate them in vegetable broth usually. And then you can bake them. What I like to do now, my favorite recipe now, which is in the ebook, is to put on a to put seasoning on them, to really mix them up with the seasoning and then bake them. And then you have a whole sheet pan of these wonderful chickeny type soy bits that are a lot like the texture of chicken, a little not quite as dense as meat, but a very pleasant texture and a very pleasant taste. They are like tofu, they're bland because they're 100% soybeans, so you have to really spice them up in different kinds of ways. So that is week something is my soy curl recipe. So that I recommend highly.
How long do the various components last in the refrigerator?
Yeah, I think that would last like 4 or 5 days. And the tofu, because it's baked, it seems to last like for a week. I put all these things at the end of the each recipe. Like grains are usually pretty good, 5, 6 days. Beans, cooked beans can go pretty fast. So those are 4 or 5 days. Cooked beans, I find, go the quickest, and you can smell when they go. So don't eat them if they smell. But cooked, a lot of these, almost everything lasts at least 4 or 5 days, and then some last even longer. That's kind of the short answer there.
There's a question on, is there a way to get the ebook printed commercially?
Not yet. I I would love for anybody who was wishing for that to put that in the chat. I've only heard from one person on email that they wished it was on Amazon Print on Demand. I did research that, and it's just by the time they take their cut and they charge for printing, I would have to charge more for it. But if people are willing, there's just a formatting thing. There's a little work on my end, and if nobody was asking for it, I wasn't going to do it. But if you all are telling me, yeah, I wish there was. If you live in the Portland area and you would like to buy a printed copy, just email me and we'll see what I can do.
When you shop, do you shop for a week or two? She's single and or he's single. Sorry, it's under Gracious Vegan, so I'm not sure of the
Oh,
person.
right.
I'm single and don't like food to go bad, but at the grocery store, you know, she tends to over or he tends to overbuy. I do the same thing, and I'm constantly trying to figure out what to do with it before it goes bad.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I shop every week. I meal plan once a week, shop the same day every week. I think there are enough vegetables that last long enough. You could get away with every 2 weeks, but you do have to and or be very conscious of looking in your fridge and seeing what you should be using. So it is it's a constant trade-off. You can either go shopping less, but then you have to really watch out so you're not wasting a lot of food, or go shopping more and you'll probably be able to use it.
So Carol loves all the ideas in the book, and it seems very simple to substitute. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Um, Instead of using almond flour, can you grind almonds very finely to substitute?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. hmm
Um,
Ground
Penny,
almonds. Go
Penny,
ahead.
Penny says she's allergic to nuts, bananas, and avocados. Do you have any suggestions besides beans?
A lot of times seeds can be good if you have a nut allergy in my recipe. So feel free to contact me with the email I send, these communications with. I'm happy to brainstorm on those. But usually sunflower seeds are good, or pumpkin seeds are good substitutes.
And Colleen, I'll put those links again at the bottom in just a second about how to get the ebook. Um, Denise says she loves the Mongolian soy curls for dinner. And someone is mentioning Butler's chicken seasoning. How
Yes.
good it is. I have not
Yes.
had yet.
And mine, I think mine is somewhat close to that, but yes, Butler Foods does have a chicken seasoning.
Someone's asking that they missed the description regarding the soy curls. Are they made from whole soybeans or soy isolate?
Soy curls are
Yeah.
made from whole soybeans.
Okay.
Yep. That was not a misstatement. Whole soybeans, not
So
just
yes, Stephanie's asking about the soy curls in the grocery store. We both buy them online at Amazon. Don't, is it that you buy them
well,
online?
I now like them enough that I buy a 6 pack, 8-ounce packages from Butler Foods directly.
Direct?
So you can do it that way. They usually almost every health food store will carry them.
Oh, okay.
Some high-end grocery stores, at least in the Portland area, have them. Seventh-day Adventist grocery stores have them. Um, and then yes, Amazon, other online stores, and then Butler Foods also sells them. What grocery stores are best? So a lot of these recipes are foods that are in grocery stores. So there's really not a lot of exotic ingredients. So you should be able to use your grocery store, except for things like um, the soy curls. Usually a lot of grocery stores don't carry those. And if you're going to use the tempeh, you may have to go to a health food store for that. Usually what I do is get everything I can at the grocery store, and then, once every 3 or 4 visits, I have to go to the nearby natural food stores. But a lot of these, almost all of these, well, no, I don't really even use plant-based yogurt much. So I have a store in my area. It's called Winco. It's in some Northwest states that has a great bulk section. So like it has polenta and grits in the bulk, it has a lot of grains. It even has like roasted buckwheat and things. All right, so we are almost at the hour. I will check the chat, and I will answer any final questions I wanted to take one more poll. Donna, can you pull
Oh,
up the last poll? Let's see if we can get a
sure
poll
can.
in 1 minute, if you wouldn't mind staying. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Donna, so much for co-hosting. Please, I'll be sending out an email with the link to the recording if you want to share it. And you can contact me at that email address if you have any further questions or comments. And I really, really appreciate everybody's participation tonight. Thank you for all the questions and comments. Really appreciate it. Take care.